I'm driving the car home, so you'll have to walk from the airport. You're always busy with chores and glued to the computer, so you probably need some exercise, huh? It'll take you around 3 hours to get back, so just hang in there. Kyle's words had a harsh edge to them. Once he jumped in the car, he ordered me out, his smirk dripping with contempt, like a kid playing a prank. Kyle was clearly enjoying himself. Faced with his sarcasm, I managed a weak smile and retorted, "It won't take 3 hours, will it? You're sending me back home, right? What's with the drama? Who said anything about 3 hours? It's just a 9-minute walk to my new place." Kyle laughed heartily, clearly not buying my story. His laughter filled the car, mocking me, yet also revealing his doubt. There were all sorts of people around us. Businessmen in suits, families, elderly couples, young women, each with their own agenda. But Kyle, lost in his laughter, paid them no mind. It was like he was in his own world inside the car, oblivious to the hustle and bustle outside. He kept laughing, seemingly joyful but with a hint of darkness. Alice stopped trying to make me laugh. Do you really expect me to believe such an obvious lie? Quit the nonsense and start walking. It'll be dark soon if you don't hurry. Well, if you're so sure, why don't you come and see for yourself? It might wipe that smile off your face. But honestly, whether you believe me or not, it doesn't bother me at all. Fine. If you're that confident, prove it. But remember, there'll be consequences if you're lying, I challenged. Kyle's irritation was evident as his face twisted in annoyance, his brows furrowing. Kyle's irritation boiled over, his voice booming in the car, drawing surprised looks from those around us. Instead of feeling intimidated, I nearly burst into laughter, knowing Kyle was about to face his own nightmare. With renewed determination, I set off towards my new home. 9 minutes later, Kyle and I stood before an ordinary 12-story apartment building, 3 years old, with a view of departing planes. Kyle seemed taken aback by the building, but quickly masked his surprise with nonchalance. "Alice, just admit it. You're lying about moving, aren't you? Stop before you get in trouble for trespassing. Stop fussing and come inside," I replied, though Kyle remained skeptical, following me with a dismissive grunt. Yet, as we rode the elevator to the 5th floor, I sensed unease in his eyes and tension around his mouth. His profile hinted at hidden concerns. Upon reaching the 5th floor and unlocking the apartment door, Kyle's facade crumbled. Anxiety gripped him, and he struggled to maintain confidence, which only made his fear more apparent. As the door swung open, Kyle began to tremble uncontrollably, his face a mixture of shock and fear. I couldn't contain my satisfaction seeing Kyle's reaction. It seemed like he was finally facing reality. "Why are my parents here?" Kyle exclaimed as we faced my angry in-laws. Their red faces hinted at the seriousness of the situation. "You were supposed to be on a trip today. Why are you here, Kyle?" "We set up a fake plan to catch you. We're siding with Alice." Despite their explanation, Kyle looked utterly bewildered. "Why go to all this trouble? Why punish me like this?" Kyle must have been flooded with questions. Sitting cautiously in front of his parents, he sought clarification, but confusion still clouded his expression. "Can someone explain clearly? I don't understand this ambush and punishment." "Stop lying, Kyle. We saw everything. How you left Alice at the airport to walk home." My father-in-law interjected, showing Kyle his smartphone screen. Kyle's eyes widened, sweat beading on his forehead within seconds. The screen showed our exchange at the airport, capturing the moment vividly. Kyle's mocking and loud voice echoed through the video. His expression shifted drastically as he watched, mouth tight, eyes avoiding the screen, realization dawning. Kyle trembled visibly, sweat glistening on his skin. My father-in-law quietly pocketed his phone, his gaze heavy with anger and disappointment. Tension filled the room. "I can't believe Dad recorded this. When did you even film it?" Kyle stammered, his voice strained. "It was at the airport earlier. We've been watching all along while you were in the car." My father-in-law replied calmly. At the airport, amidst the bustling crowd, Kyle's parents and I had strategically placed ourselves to witness the events firsthand. Kyle had walked straight into my trap, unaware. His parents observed him silently, the room heavy with anticipation. Finally, my mother-in-law broke the silence. "Kyle, we're shocked. How could you leave your spouse stranded at the airport like that?" It was just a heated argument. I didn't mean any harm." Kyle mumbled, his voice trailing off. "It's true, abandoning the woman you love isn't right. Kyle, why are you laughing? Is this a joke? Kyle's father interrupted, his mother's glare intensifying. In that moment, Kyle froze, his face draining of color, like a deer caught in headlights. The room filled with a heavy, tense silence. Sensing the disappointment more than anger in his parents' expressions, I realized they held high expectations for Kyle. He had always been responsible and dedicated, facing challenges head-on. Everyone admired his character and expected great things from him. Yet beneath that facade was the reality of how he treated me, his wife. The revelation that their beloved son had mistreated his spouse was difficult for them to comprehend. Feeling their emotions, I knew it was time to reveal the truth to Kyle. Despite his father's stern gaze and his mother's subdued anger, I began to speak. Kyle, I've been struggling for a while now. Just 6 months into our marriage, you changed. You were always away on business trips, neglecting us. Then the bullying started, and I couldn't understand why until I discovered the truth. You've been having an affair. I've told your parents not only about the bullying but also about the affair. At the mention of the affair, Kyle's shocked silence shattered, his gaze piercing through me, almost causing me to falter. But Kyle's parents stepped in. Hold on, Kyle. I'll admit to the bullying. I may have gone too far at times. I didn't realize it then, but if it hurt you, Alice, I'm sorry. However, I haven't cheated. You should have evidence before making such serious accusations. I don't have evidence right now, but it's clear you're cheating, just like your father said. Denying it won't make it go away. Wouldn't it be better to come clean now and prevent more pain? What? Accusing me without proof? You're going to confuse my parents? Kyle protested, his usual defensive pattern emerging when his position was challenged. As the tension rose, the rest of us remained calm. I'll say it again. Denying it won't help, because I already know everything. I may not have proof now, but there's a witness. I'll call her here. Just wait. After the call, the intercom buzzed, and within 3 minutes, as the person entered, Kyle froze as if time had stopped. She's the witness. Her name is Karen. But Kyle, you probably recognize her, right? She's your affair partner. Karen has seen your true colors. She was at the airport with your parents. Wait, Karen? Why is she here? I didn't know about this, Kyle exclaimed. Through my investigation, I had discovered Kyle's affair with Karen, an employee from a client company. I had secretly contacted Karen, and our conversation revealed that Kyle had kept his marital status hidden from her during their relationship. Karen believed they were serious, and she was deeply shocked to learn of Kyle's deception. Naturally, Karen couldn't stomach Kyle's lies, so I arranged for her to be at the airport to confront him. When Kyle caught sight of my new apartment, a subtle grimace crossed his face, not because of its location, but because Karen lived in the same building. Kyle probably never imagined I'd be in touch with Karen, which explained his feeble attempt to appear confident. However, his facade crumbled under scrutiny. In fact, my move to this apartment was calculated to bring me closer to Karen. Kyle, even my picking you up from the airport today was part of the plan to expose your true self. While I may not have physical evidence, Karen herself has confessed to the affair, I informed Kyle, a mixture of scorn and disdain coloring my words as I revealed the truth to my unsuspecting husband who had underestimated me. Kyle ended up revealing his true colors all on his own. He probably thought I was just a stay-at-home wife with a computer hobby, assuming his affair would never come to light. It's almost pathetic, really, how I didn't see through it until after we were married, blinded by the idea of a perfect marriage. But now, the truth is crystal clear. Kyle has done something unforgivable. He deceived me, his parents, and Karen, and even when confronted, he tried to deny it all. All Kyle can do now is own up to his mistakes and apologize as soon as possible. There's no way out of this. Denying it will only make things worse for him. Alice, don't you think you're going too far? Surveillance at the airport, an ambush at our new home, and moving into the same building as Karen all over an affair seems extreme, Kyle protested. You don't understand, Kyle. While you might see it as just an affair, your actions have warranted this extreme response. You cheated with Karen, bullied me, and made life unbearable, all while hiding your true self from your own parents. It's time for you to face the reality of what you've done, I said firmly, meeting Kyle's gaze with unwavering clarity. His parents and Karen, echoing my sentiments, fixed stern looks on Kyle. My plan unfolded exactly as intended. catching Kyle off guard and leaving him with no excuses. Slowly, he began to apologize. I'm so sorry. Karen was so beautiful and young, I couldn't resist lying to win her over. Everything Alice said about the bullying and wanting a divorce is true. I wanted Alice to be the one to initiate it, Kyle admitted, but before he could finish, my father-in-law erupted in rage. Without warning, he hoisted Kyle into the air, Kyle's legs flailing as he struggled. When was the last time you actually talked to Alice, Kyle? She wanted to support you in every way, even starting her work from home for your sake, and yet you, Kyle, was dropped abruptly, coughing and turning his gaze towards me. Since Kyle changed, there had been no meaningful conversation between us. He had stopped listening to anything I said. Even when I talked about my work from home, he dismissed it as just a housewife's hobby. You've not only lied to Alice, Kyle, but also to Karen, deceiving and potentially ruining the life of a young woman, my father-in-law added sternly. What a foolish thing to do, my mother-in-law said, her voice trembling as if she might burst into tears. And then there was Kyle, trembling himself, seemingly coming to a realization. His repeated apologies of "I'm so sorry" made it feel like we were dealing with a completely different person, showing genuine remorse. Though still angry, the in-laws appeared slightly relieved that Kyle was sincerely apologizing. Alice, it's all my fault. I know it's unforgivable, but I'm asking for a fresh start from today. Can we try again? Kyle apologized to me, his words silencing the room. However, my next actions shocked everyone. Kyle, you're such a joke to your father, mother, and Karen. Isn't Kyle just ridiculous? My laughter filled the room, even louder than Kyle's at the airport, leaving everyone puzzled. It may have seemed bizarre, but knowing everything, I couldn't help but laugh. As my laughter subsided, I pulled out a thick envelope from my bag and tossed it at Kyle. What's this? Kyle hastily grabbed the envelope, sensing something ominous. With a nervous swallow, he cautiously checked its contents. The moment he did, he trembled so violently it seemed the room itself shook. That's the result of a separate investigation into your affairs, Kyle. Besides Karen, you were seeing other women during your travels, I revealed. So essentially, these are your local wives across different regions, my father-in-law questioned incredulously. Local wives? Kyle, were you planning to deceive us even further? Kyle's supposedly sincere apology was just a facade to prevent yet another affair from being exposed. His promises of change were nothing but lies. Perhaps he believed if he could just get through this moment, everything else would somehow sort itself out. If so, he was truly foolish. Kyle, all you can do now is get a divorce and pay alimony. I never want to see your face again, so let's handle the rest through our lawyers. Don't try to fool me. You claimed there was no evidence, yet you deceived me. Who deceived whom first? Do you finally understand how it feels to be deceived? Damn it, Alice. You'll regret this, you know. A mere housewife like you won't survive on your own. Don't you dare come crawling back to me. Kyle abandoned his facade and approached menacingly, but his threats seemed laughable to me. It would be Kyle who would regret his actions, yet he left our new home with those final words, oblivious to what lay ahead. The tension in the room dissipated, and we all took a seat simultaneously. My in-laws and Karen offered heartfelt apologies. Alice, we're so sorry for everything. It's our fault for not realizing sooner and causing you such distress. And Karen, we've troubled you deeply. We'll make sure Kyle takes responsibility. Just wait. We'll pursue him relentlessly if necessary. Please, everyone, no need for apologies. Thank you for supporting my plan. Kyle deserves to face the consequences, but there's no need for an extensive pursuit. He'll definitely reach out to us, without a doubt. My in-laws and Karen glanced at me with a slight smile, puzzled by my confidence. They hadn't fully grasped my plan yet, but it wasn't because of overconfidence or denial. It was a certainty I held deep within. I'll say it again. Kyle knows nothing, and I know everything. I could see the path Kyle was heading down clearly. My intention was to watch silently until he faced the consequences of his actions. A month had passed since then. I sat at my computer in our new home, the gentle breeze outside rustling the trees. The serene silence was interrupted by my phone vibrating. The 100th missed call, all from my ex-husband. Taking a deep breath, I answered. As I held the smartphone to my ear, I could hear my ex-husband's voice, a mix of surprise, anxiety, and a glimmer of hope. Finally, you pick up. Why are you ignoring me when I'm in such trouble? Oh, you're in trouble, huh? What happened? I was deceived. One of these local wives turned out to be a scam artist. She took all my money, and now I'm being chased by some scary guys. It's really bad. That sounds tough. Good luck with that. Hey, don't hang up, please. I'm begging you. Just a little help. I've got no money, can't go home. I'm done for without you. Who said, don't come to me with regrets, never come crying back? I knew everything, including the fact you were being deceived, but I chose not to say anything. I thought it was pointless to tell you anything you wouldn't understand without experiencing the consequences firsthand. His voice faded from the call. Perhaps now, Kyle regretted his actions, but I refused to assist him. People like him couldn't grasp others' pain without facing it themselves. You only think of yourself. That's why you're in this situation. I have work to do, so don't call me again. What work? It's just your hobby. I didn't want to have to say this, but my annual income surpasses yours, Kyle. I found success as a web novelist along with my blog, YouTube channel, and more. I can manage just fine on my own. What? You earn more than me. Wait, can you lend me a little money then? My ex-husband rambled, but I hung up and promptly blocked his number. His selfishness left me sighing deeply until the end. Later, I learned from my in-laws about his situation. Realizing he couldn't rely on me, he turned to them for help. However, they were already aware of his predicament and were furious once again. Despite their anger, he continued making excuses, resulting in his parents disarming him. With nowhere to turn, he fled, changing jobs and relocating. However, it seemed the threatening men pursued him to his new location. He even sought refuge near his parents' home at one point, sending messages of regret and reflection. But it was too late. His actions had consequences, and he bore the weight of that truth.